History remembers great wars, mighty empires, and decisive battles. But sometimes the most dangerous moments in human history weren't battles at all. They were mistakes, errors, misunderstandings, and accidents. Moments when the entire world came within minutes of destruction. Most people today don't realize how close humanity has come to total annihilation, not once, but several times. The Cold War, in particular, was filled with silent emergencies where one wrong decision could have ended civilization. One of the most chilling examples happened on September 26, 1983, deep inside the Soviet Union. The Cold War was at its peak. Tensions between the United States and the USSR were at their highest in decades. Both sides possessed thousands of nuclear weapons, enough to erase humanity many times over. That night, Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov sat in a dimly lit Soviet early warning bunker. His job was terrifying: monitor the radar system, and if American nuclear missiles were detected, immediately report it so Moscow could launch a retaliatory strike. The doctrine was simple: launch on warning. If you hesitate, your country might be wiped off the map before you can respond. Suddenly, alarms blared, sirens echoed through the control room. The computer showed a US missile launched toward the Soviet Union. Then a second, then several more. The screen glowed red with warnings. Officers scrambled to verify the data. According to the machine, America had started a nuclear war. Protocol demanded that Petrov pick up the phone, call Moscow, and report the attack. That call would set in motion a chain that would unleash thousands of Soviet missiles at the United States and its allies. Within minutes, nuclear Armageddon would begin. But Petrov hesitated. Something didn't add up. Why would the US launch only a handful of missiles? A real strike would involve hundreds, maybe thousands, fired all at once. His instincts told him it was wrong. He made the most dangerous choice a soldier could make. He ignored the system. He reported it as a false alarm. Minutes passed. Every second felt like a lifetime. No American missiles arrived. Petrov had been right. The system had been fooled by sunlight reflecting off clouds. By defying protocol, he may have saved the entire world. Petrov's story is now legendary, but it was not unique. Throughout the Cold War, there were dozens of similar moments when human judgment stood between survival and catastrophe. Take October 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The world's two superpowers stared each other down over nuclear weapons placed in Cuba. American ships blockaded the island, while Soviet submarines patrolled beneath the waves. One of those submarines, B-59, carried a nuclear torpedo. As US destroyers dropped practice depth charges to force it to surface, the submarine's crew believed war had already started. Inside the stifling heat of the sub, commanders argued, two officers wanted to launch the nuclear torpedo. That single weapon could have sunk an American carrier and ignited a nuclear war. Only one man, second in command Vasily Arkhipov, refused to give permission. His lone vote stopped the launch. His calmness in that claustrophobic moment prevented a disaster greater than any battle in history. Fast forward to January 25, 1995. The Cold War had ended, but the danger had not. Russian radars suddenly detected a missile launch from Norway. To them, it looked like a potential US nuclear strike. The alert raced up the chain of command, reaching President Boris Yeltsin himself. For the first time in history, a Russian leader activated the nuclear briefcase. For several tense minutes, Russia prepared for retaliation. But then, new information came in. The missile was not a weapon at all. It was a scientific rocket, launched to study the northern lights. The world had nearly ended again, because of a misunderstanding. These weren't isolated incidents. In 1979, a technician in the United States accidentally loaded a training tape into a computer. Suddenly, American radar screens lit up with the image of a massive Soviet attack. For several minutes, US forces prepared to launch a counterstrike, until someone realized the truth. It was a simulation, not reality. In 1980, another false alarm struck. This time, a faulty computer chip caused American systems to report a full-scale Soviet attack. Fighter jets roared into the sky, ready to intercept, until the error was discovered. A tiny piece of hardware had nearly triggered World War III. And then there was 1961, when a US B-52 bomber broke apart in mid-air over North Carolina, dropping 2 nuclear bombs. Each bomb was over 250 times more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima. One of them came within a single electrical switch of detonating. A farm field in North Carolina almost became the site of the worst nuclear disaster in history. When you add these moments together, a chilling picture emerges. History has not been a steady march of stability and safety. Instead, it has been a fragile balancing act, where human error, technical glitches, and pure chance nearly destroyed everything we know. Think about it. Entire empires rose and fell, revolutions swept across nations, billions of lives were lived, all because a few individuals, in moments of unimaginable pressure, made the choice not to escalate. Petrov ignored the computer. Arkhipov refused to launch. Yeltsin waited for confirmation. The difference between civilization and ashes was measured in hesitation, instinct, and luck. Now imagine if just one of those moments had gone the other way. If Petrov had obeyed orders, the Soviet Union would have unleashed its arsenal. The United States would have responded in kind. In less than an hour, every major city in North America, Europe, and Asia would be destroyed. Nuclear winter would follow, blocking the sun, collapsing agriculture, and starving billions. Civilization itself might never have recovered. Or if Arkhipov had been overruled in that submarine, an American carrier sunk, retaliation ordered, mushroom clouds rising across continents. Humanity's story might have ended in October 1962. These near misses remind us that history is not inevitable. The world we live in today exists because time and again ordinary people chose restraint when fear, logic, and orders demanded action. It's tempting to think the danger has passed. The Cold War is long over. But nuclear weapons remain. Thousands are still deployed. Computers and radars still watch the skies. And mistakes still happen. The margin between peace and destruction is as thin as it was in Petrov's bunker. History often celebrates warriors, leaders, and conquerors. But perhaps the greatest heroes are the ones who never fired a shot, men who paused, who doubted, who refused to unleash the end of the world. The day the world almost ended wasn't one day. It was many days, each one a quiet crisis, hidden from public view. And each time the world kept turning because someone somewhere decided to stop and think. Our civilization exists not because of strength, but because of restraint. And as long as these weapons exist, the same question remains. The next time the alarms sound, will someone hesitate long enough to save us all?